right, well, good evening. This is Wilson, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot, your net control operator for the River City Arcs Slow Scan TV net. This net serves for training and practice in image transmission modes and meets Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock p.m. on the N6NA repeater. That is on 441.30 megahertz. River City Arcs members and all licensed radio amateurs are welcome to participate. If you wish to join the net or need to make a call at any time, please announce your call sign between transmissions and net control will acknowledge you. If an emergency should arise and you need the repeater, please contact the net control by saying break break. A double break signifies emergency traffic. The net will stand by for you until the emergency traffic is terminated or the traffic is moved to another frequency. Stations who wish to check in are asked to respond with their full call sign using the recognized ITU phonetic alphabet and their name. I will recognize each station before continuing.
November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec, Bob.
Good evening, Bob. Thank you for checking in. North Roseville.
Kilo Lima 7, Hotel Quebec, Romeo Neon, Antelope. Good evening.
Thank you for checking in, Neil. Got KL7HQR. Good evening.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf, Joel in Florence. Is Anders in Folsom.
I'm sorry, I skipped a beat there. I got Joel AI6DG, and Anders, you doubled with Joel, and I promised you I would struggle with your new call sign. So I'm gonna ask you to come again with your call sign, please. And I'm sorry.
That would be Norway Radio 6 Hello, November Romeo 6 Hotel.
November Romeo 6 Hotel, and thank you. Got it. Any other check-ins?
Good evening. This is James. Kilo, November 6, Quebec, November Juliet.
Kilo, November 6, Quebec, November Juliet. Thank you for checking in, James. We have 5 check-ins, plus myself. Any others?
Yeah, this is Kilo Papa 4, Mike Delta Carol in Citrus Heights.
All right, Carol, good evening, and thanks for firing up the YouTube streaming. I heard just moments before the net that your YouTube streaming is in service, and I could see it for the first time. I'm going to parallel stream while operating net control, so I should be able to see what you see. All right, any other check-ins? Okay, well, let's see. I guess we'll get into some personal things and announcements later if we have any, but first up, I'd like to see if Bob, if you're ready to transmit, would you go right ahead?
Okay, we'll give this a shot. It's PD 120.
that was N6PGQ. We successfully transmitted a photo, and it looks like a pretty decent photo of a one corner of a stock car racing track. Maybe it's possibly an oval track, I suppose. And I don't recognize the folks in the foreground, but let's see what others can see in the photo. So I'll turn it over to Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Yeah, good evening, KL7HQR. Good copy here, no problem at all, Bob. And Bob, I think this was the race that you mentioned about last Sunday at the Coliseum in Los Angeles that you went to see. Good copy, good picture, and no problem at all. And I watched some of it as you asked me to, and I watched some of it. It was quite exciting. I don't remember the name of the gentleman who won. I'm quite sure that will put me to shame forever. But it's a good picture. It's kind of strange to see the Coliseum used this way, because the last time I saw the Coliseum was when Pelé, a soccer player from Brazil, was playing for a team in New Jersey for quite a few years. I went to see the time when he played at the Coliseum for that team. It was his goodbye, and he played one half time for the New Jersey team, and then he changed shirts and played for Santos, which is his original team in Brazil, and he made a goal for each side in each of the half time. I don't remember the end result of it, but that was my memory of the Coliseum. So I hope I'm right. Maybe I'm completely off site, but this looks like the Coliseum in LA. That's the net.
All right, we have 1 vote for Coliseum in LA. Thanks for that, Neil. And let's see, AI6DG. Joel, how copy?
Yeah, so we're in some sort of stadium, and it's obviously a car race. You can see the safety fence and protecting the crowd from the track, oval track in the center. We're looking at just one end of it, so we're kind of like at the 75-yard line looking towards the end zone, if it were football. And in the center, you can see the paddock with all the cars. There's a bunch of cars still there. I don't see... Trying to see if there... Yeah, there's some cars on the track on the far side of the corner. And my first thought was LA Coliseum, and then I said, no, it doesn't look like this. They don't do car races there. So then I thought Hughes Stadium, but that doesn't look right either. So I'm a little confused. I thought LA Coliseum was a lot bigger than this looks from this photo, but maybe I just don't have the right perspective from this photo and the resolution. So we got lights in the top of the Coliseum on the far side, a whole bunch of red seats, a whole bunch of dots that I assume are people in the red seats, a monster huge display on the upper right, which is the top edge of the stadium. It's open air, the extreme bright about halfway up. It looks like ground level, and it's a beige with three. We can see 3 arches, and I'm assuming there's at least that many more out of view. So it does kind of look like the Coliseum. American flag. How would you ever do a car race on a football field? Anyway, back to net. AI6DG.
Yes, and how do you get haddock in a stadium? Or did you say paddock? Just kidding. All right. Thanks for that, Joel. I think we have another vote for Coliseum, or was that a half vote? On to November Romeo 6 Hotel. Anders, were you able to copy?
Yes, I got a good copy. Some sparkles you can see up in the sky. It's clearly a sunny and beautiful day in America. The American flag shows that's where we are. Very blue skies, and people down in the shadow on the bottom of the picture, some of them looking more at the phone than what's actually going on in front of them, maybe. But
It seems loud to me, and maybe a fun race. But yeah, still picture of a car race is leaving a lot to be fantasized about, I guess. So yeah, but yeah, good picture in all, and just the sparkles that I see is mostly because of the very clear blue sky, so that's why they're so obvious. But yep, good picture. NR6H, back to net.
All right, well, thank you for that, Anders. James, Kilo November 6, Quebec, November Juliet. How copy?
Came through exactly as everyone else described. It does look like the LA Coliseum, but I don't know if I have much more to add. It's hard to imagine that they would convert it into a motorized racetrack, but I'm not sure. KN6QNJ.
All right, it looks like we're losing some votes on that this time, but we'll keep going. Carol, KP4MD, how, well, let's see, what comments would you have for the photo? I can see on YouTube that you were able to get a pretty good copy.
Yeah, thank you. This is Kilo Papa for Mike Delta. I saw everything that that Joel saw, although I couldn't recognize a lot of the stuff since I'm not into car races, and I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to guess this is the Indy 500 because I know that Bob worked the Indy 500 special event station. I saw him do that when we were out over there at Dry Creek Ranch. He was really excited about that. So I'm just guessing maybe this one time he went there. So I'm probably wrong, but I'm just guessing. I don't know anything about car racing. And yeah, picture quality on a scale from 1 to 5, I'd say 4 because probably a lot of it is just scratchiness from the pixel pops. Otherwise, good colors you could see on YouTube. Back to net. This is KP4MD.
All right, well, thank you for that, Carol. And I want to give a shout out to the folks that are viewing us on YouTube. I can see them tonight. Good evening, Whiskey Papa 2 November. That's Craig Bruce. And we have Frank, Whiskey 6 November Yankee X-Ray. And let's see, who else? Neil Flight Sim. That's Neil, KL7HQR. I didn't recognize that right up front, but it's good to see you all there, and good evening. So, let's see, so I think we'll turn it back up to Bob, November 6, Papa Golf, Quebec. What do you have?
Well, almost everybody had it right on. This picture was taken, if you can see in the right-hand corner, at 12:35 in the afternoon. It's the fourth heat race at the LA Coliseum. The crowd hadn't filled in because the main race started 3 hours later, and so there were probably 75,000 people in the LA Coliseum. They took the all-weather track up and laid asphalt down, put the safer barriers there, and ran a race on a very flat track. Usually the first race of the NASCAR season is a non-points race right before the Daytona 500, and it's usually somewhere in Florida. But this is in Southern California, and they're trying a new venue. As I said, this is the fourth heat race. There are not very many cars. The car in the front's a pace car, it's Toyota, and then the rest of the cars are behind it. They were going approximately 62 or 63 miles an hour average around the track, and as I mentioned, it's a quarter-mile track, which is the shortest venue that they've raced on in about, 45 years, something like that. The track at Roseville at the fairgrounds is actually bigger than this one and banked. The right side of the picture, the staircase you see there is the one that Muhammad Ali ran up and lit the cauldron and it's off to the right of the picture, just a little bit past the three arches that you see. And this was last weekend on Sunday, and that's where I was, and that's why my brain's not working, because I've driven there and all over the place in the last 3 days. Anyway, that's the story. It was kind of fun. The race cars sound was 95 decibels, and the rappers and performers were at about 106 or 107 decibels. It's a little loud. Anyway, there we go, N6PGQ.
Lots of questions.
Thanks for that, Bob. Let's turn it over to Joel. He's got lots of questions.
Rappers, what are you talking about? They had a halftime with music with a performance or something? And you're saying this is a temporary install, so they're going to rip it all out afterwards? Do they still have football games there anymore, or is it not being used in general? I'm not sure what the Coliseum is used for these days. Cincinnati I-60G.
Well, it's right next to the college there, and so they play their games. The Olympics are held there, and will be there in a few years. And yes, there's a football field right in the middle, but it was all paved for just this one race. And as we speak right now, they're there with the tractors and the backhoes and everything, tearing it all up and returning the track to a track and the football field to a football field. It's the same cars they're running at Daytona, the new generation cars. All sorts of information about it, but we want to watch other people's pictures. N6PGQ.
Very good. 95 dB is loud enough, but when you talk about the entertainers, wow. All right. Any other points or questions on this one? Thanks for sharing, Bob. I share interesting cars with you, and I'm not much into racing, but I do. When I get a chance, I'll sit down and look at some of these on TV. My dad enjoys it as well. So, nice work. Let's see. I'll turn it over to Neil if there's no others. KL7HQR.
Okay, Roger. Very good copy on Bob. Thank you, Bob. That was very interesting. This one here is just for fun. Not much of a mystery on the picture. Just kind of try to find something to have a little bit of a giggle on. E120.
contact them on YouTube, but let's see, I lost the photograph. 1 second. Oh, here it is. I would guess that this is an overhead sign showing where folks can find the restroom or a sink, and I think those characters are probably Korean, but I'm just guessing because they don't look like what I'm used to seeing with Chinese or Japanese. So maybe Korean or somewhere in Indonesia or something like that, maybe. But anyway, it says go back behind your something. What does it say? I'm sorry. I thought I could read it before. It says go back toward your behind. And I can read that clearly on YouTube, but I can't read it on the version that I picked up over the air. So Carol did a much better job on her receipt than I did. I shouldn't have given that away, but naughty me. Let me turn it over to Bob, N6PGQ. Were you able to copy?
Good copy. Loading gate 14 is ahead, I imagine. And it says for restrooms, go back toward your behind, which I guess means turn around. The restrooms are behind you. And it shows a handicap sign, man and a woman, of course, and then I can't tell exactly. Well, that probably is a baby changing station. Anyway, that's what I got. Good quality, a few pixel pops. Nice job, Neil. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, thank you for that, Bob. That was N6PDQ and N6EMF here in Net Control. I'll check in with Joel, AI6DG. How copy?
So I see the repeater ID, so there's a bar of zaps right above the sign, or well, the symbols on the sign. I notice on the YouTube side there's not really a band of noise, but an increase in noise for a while on the bottom quarter or third of the screen, which I don't see on what I receive, but that's interesting. I'm assuming this is Japan. Japan's kind of famous for mistranslations like this, and I'm not even sure how you would say this in English, let alone then how that would be translated to Japanese. How would you say it? How would a sign in an airport in the U.S. say that? Restrooms behind you? Turn around for restrooms? Restrooms other direction? Anyway, back to Net AI6DG.
Go back toward your behind. Oh boy, that's so funny to me. Anyway, thanks, Joel. In November, Romeo 6 Hotel, Anders. You're up. How copy?
Good copy, even quality from top to bottom. I got the repeater ID just at the top of the sign there, and a few sprinkles across the whole spread out the whole image, but not too bad. I think the translation is good. I mean, your behind is certainly involved in what they want to convey here, so that's a good thing. What I find interesting is who designed this sign to start with. They started with the icon language of what they wanted to convey, and then they put the sign apparently in a place where the bathrooms are not. Yeah, I don't know what kind of thought process was involved when this was created, but I think the instructions is good. It's an instructional sign for what you have bathrooms for, so I think it's good. NR6H, back to Net.
Oh, to evaluate this thoroughly, we need to see the other side of the sign. Maybe it tells you, restaurant, or rather the restrooms are ahead. Thanks, Anders. James, KN6QNJ, how copy?
I got a really clear copy. A few pixel pops, but it's very clear from top to bottom. I have the station ID, like Anders said. The YouTube version is not as clear as what I have. And in fact, at the bottom half, I get a really good image of whatever's being reflected by the lights, or maybe that's just windows and glass anyway off the ceiling. It's kind of hard to tell, but it came through really well. I think it's simply saying the restrooms are behind you, but obviously there's a lot in a word. KN62NJ.
All right, James. Hey, I have. Thank you for sharing. I have something to share with the group. So I have a Yaesu mobile rig that I'm operating right now for SlowScan TV net control. It is the FTM300D. It's one of their newer radios, a couple years old. It's a dual band radio, and I've got it connected to the computer via Signal Link USB. And I think I know what happened. I talked about how my image is pretty noisy in comparison to the image that I see that Carol copied on YouTube. And I think I have an explanation for that. On my mic, there's a mute button, and tonight was the first time I ever pressed the mute button. And what it does is it cuts the audio because I don't want to hear the SlowScan TV modem sound. So I hit the mute button, and it cut out the audio to where I could barely hear the signal. Well, that where I pressed the button is where the noise started coming in. So I think the audio level is cut going to the signal link, and it introduced a weak signal, which created more noise. So I just thought I would share that with you folks. I don't know how many others have a function like that on their radio, or whether they're using the FTD or FTM300D. All right, so next up, Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Yeah, I'm getting some they call multipath signal loss here. That's why it was getting a little fuzzy down towards the bottom of the picture that I received. But interesting. I went ahead and I'm using my Google Translate app on my smartphone, which is kind of cheating, I know. But I'm pointing it towards that kanji, and if you say it's Chinese, it says it translates it to behind the powder room. But if you go Japanese, because Japanese also uses those characters as well, it's different. It's let's see, Japanese to English. Here we go. It says restroom moves backwards, and it's really funny, a computer generated translation. But it's true. Some of those kanji, they have similar meanings, although they're pronounced completely different in either of those languages. But apparently it's intelligible in Chinese or Japanese, one way or the other. But yeah, it definitely is a Chinglish translation down on the bottom. And very humorous. Some of those can be very humorous and not telling you what they intend to mean. So thank you very much for sharing this. Back to Net. This is KP4MD.
All right. Well, thank you for that translation and perspective, Carol. I guess I got that wrong. I thought it was Korean, but shows how much I don't know. Well, how about this? Let's get back up there to Neil, KL7HQR.
Okay, did you get Bob, PGQ?
Let's see. Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Okay, I don't know if you got Bob, N6PGQ.
Heck, I'm not sure. Bob, did you get a chance to comment on this photo? How copied?
Yeah, I did. Talked about the gate ahead and changing station and that kind of stuff. N6PGQ.
Very good, thank you. I think we got all the comments in. Neil, go ahead and tell us about your photo.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that, Bob. Well, this was taken in Taiwan, in Taipei, the airport. So it's definitely Chinese. And it's just one of the things that you, as you travel, I used to travel a lot for work, but not for fun. So, and you get a little bit of fun things that you see along the way. If you go to the internet, I think on YouTube, you can Google for English with an R instead of an L, English, and you see something like this. And you can see how fantastically interesting the translations are on word by word. And if we were to translate our English to their language, we probably would do exactly the same thing. Very giggle-like, very interesting, very humorous, but a very strong interest in doing things right. So, anyway, just for the giggles tonight, KL7HQ FM tonight.
Indeed, lots of giggles. Thank you, Neil. Any follow-up comments, questions? All right, well, on down the road to AI6DG. Joel, if you're ready, you may transmit a photo in N6EMF.
Double check on tone. Here, is there a tone?
You've got tone. Nice job, Joel.
P120.
Well, I was able to make a good copy of a photo from that was AI6DG, and if I look carefully, closely enough, I see, I recognize some people in here. This time, I do indeed recognize Anders. That's N6H there to the left under the red and black canopy, and recognize his go box and his dollar, his little cart there, because I had a meetup with Anders a few weeks ago and saw these items. So nice setup, and over to the right, I recognize, so this is some field day work here. That must be Joel over there to the right, because last week Anders sent a photograph of Joel operating in this situation, or with this type of canopy close to dusk. So nice work. Like to hear more about this, and turn it over to others for some interpretation, some perspective. Thank you for the photo, Joel. Nice work. I'll turn it over to Anders in R6H. How copy?
This was an almost pop-free reception. Probably one of the clearest images that I've received. I'm looking especially for the pops, but I can barely see any. Also, I think the text up top there should say K6IS, right? Because that's how we identified ourselves this day. But yeah, I'm going to leave it to others because I know a thing or two about what was going on here, so I'll leave it to others to explore it. And R6H, back to Net.
All right, very good, Anders. How about James, KN6QNJ? Any curiosities? Any observations? Any squirrels?
I have a really clear picture, just like Anders said. I noticed that NR6H, with his brand new call sign, has a brand new sign on his portable unit. Looks like foldable solar panels on top of the pop-up, and there are solar panels to the far right near the other blue pop-up. I have not yet had an opportunity to do a field day, but I realize that I'm going to need my daughter's cart that we used to use when she played soccer. But it's a really great shot, beautiful day, very few pixel pops. KN6QNJ.
Oh, all right, James. If you travel with a handheld and a QRP rig, you might not need anything other than those two. But you should hear about Anders' rig. It's just quite a bit of capability in that box. So, but anyway, yeah, thanks for that. And let's see who's next up. How about Carol, KP4MD?
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Very, very good picture. You can see on YouTube hardly any pixel pops. I had a few down in the bottom 1/6 of the picture, but they're mixed up in the grass, so you really can't notice them that much. And yeah, I immediately noticed the flexible solar panel on top of Anders' canopy. And I don't know if that's his call sign on the back of the radio. There's a blue label, big label with white letters. I wonder if that says NR6H. And I do recognize the other canopy is looking like Joel's over there, and he's got his big vertical PVC mast there that's kind of leaning over a little bit to the right. So it definitely is winter time because the trees are bare. But good picture. Back to Nets, KP4MD.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Carol. Yeah, these folks are pretty serious out there. They're ready. And how about Bob, N6PGQ, going up to the top?
Well, most everybody's covered everything I can think of. I don't know if this was in the summertime or a winter field day. The grass doesn't appear too green, so it could be either. So I'm looking forward to hearing what's going on. Quality is very good. Only a few little pixel pops up in the blue sky area. N6PGQ.
Very good, Bob. Thank you, Neil, KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Oh, yeah, KL7HQR. Very good copy. Very good picture. I could not detect all the details that everybody's talking about since I have the pictures enlarged all the way as much as I can here on the screen. And all I can say is a big canopy with obviously the solar panels and somebody operating. Since I heard it's Andrews, I would not have known it. And a blue canopy on the right-hand side. So glad to hear everybody else commenting besides me, before me, so that I couldn't understand what I'm looking at. But the picture itself came out very well. Back to Net KL7HQR.
All right, very good. Thank you. That was Neil, KL7HQR, and N6EMF here, Net Control. How about Joel? Joel, your photo Nice work. Tell us all about it. How were you able to get this photo?
Well, I took the photo, that's why. Yes, that's, the blue canopy is mine, but that's not me under it, that's Kayla. So we had 3 stations operating here. Anders on the left under the red canopy, and I didn't know they made small personal-sized canopies. Wow, that was, it's what is it, like 3 by 5 or 3 by 6? It's pretty small. And I didn't even know he had the solar panels up on the top of the canopy like that until I took the picture and looked at the picture I took. And I'm impressed by that cart. It's got big wheels. He got it going over sand when he was doing stuff on beach. And I got to see, we got to see how much those are, and if they're even available now, and then decide whether it would even be of any use to me. But that's definitely interesting. My solar panel is on the extreme right center. I had that set up going to a battery box with a solar charger and anyway, it's going out through a battery boost to a Anderson block that both my station and Kayla's station was plugged into. There's 2 tables underneath my canopy. And the reason the mast in the background is bent is because it has a 10 to 40 end-fed wire antenna sticking off towards the right to another identical mast like that. Well, 60 feet, that's how long those antennas are, 60 feet to the right of us. And obviously a beautiful day. The picture from last week when the sunset was going down kind of indicated how beautiful it was. And it was nice and warm at this time of day with the sun shining on you, not like it was after the sun went down. And that reminds me I need to pull out that my logging laptop and upload the log. We were Landers and I both had laptops running, and they were networked together using a hotspot of Anders N1MM. So as each of us logged, the other saw the log, and then we both have duplicates of the log. And that's how it's supposed to work. Very cool. Jan Park in Carmichael, or near Carmichael, is where this was. Back to Net AI6CG.
All right, very nice work. Wonderful photo. I thought I saw a solar cell on the canopy of Anders, but I wasn't sure what that was. It looks almost flexible or something, and I kind of didn't trust my gut as to what that was. But I guess that's what it is. Nice work. Nice coordination. All the right tools. Be interesting. Any other comments, questions?
This is N6NA comment.
Go ahead, James.
How long were you guys out there, and who fed you?
Let's see here. Anders brought some candy. Other than that, I think no fed. And I think Anders was out there shortly after 9, and I showed up about 9:30, and we left about 7:30. Anders tore down before sunset. I waited till that last few contacts as the sun was going down, and ended up finishing well after sunset when it was starting to get cold and the dew was starting to drop. Things were starting to get wet as I was finishing packing up. I had significantly more to pack up and to tear down than Anders did. So he's a little more successful on when it comes to the objective of traveling light. This is a pretty much near identical setup to what I would be doing in Somerville Day also, only a little more involved since that's longer overnight and for the whole club. Back to Net AI6CG.
All right. I hope, was that good, James? Thank you, Joel.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Food would be important to me, so I'll have to make sure I factor that in when I do this sometime.
All right. Thank you. I think, let's see, I'm going to, Net Control will get out we'll transmit a photo, Robot 72, when you're ready. I want to scan for other comments. Any other last comments or questions on Joel's photo?
NR6H.
Oh, go ahead, Anders.
Yeah, James, I would agree with you that probably to me, the biggest thing to learn from that exercise was more food. I did have some backup bananas and stuff in my cool box, but it was never time really to get there. But I would agree that food is important, and I think next time that's going to be higher up on my list of things to bring, for sure. NR6H, back to Ned.
Very good observation. You know, I was out there with you the other week or whatever, and I had a few snacks packed, but we were only there for a couple of hours, at least I was, so I didn't think about that either until James asked the question. So food and hydration, right? Good idea. All right, Net Control has one. Here it comes. Net Control, N6EMF has transmitted the photo. I'll be checking in with Bob, N6PGQ. How copy?
Copy just fine. Looks like a PowerWorks power supply on the left and a maybe rig runner or one of the competitors' series of Anderson power poles and fuses on the right. Looks like it's a distribution center for somebody's set of gear. Anyway, came out real well. A few pixel pops across the box. Anyway, came out very, very well. N6PGQ.
All right, well, thank you, Bob. Next up, KL7HQR. Joel, rather, how did I do that? Neil, KL7HQR. My friend Neil, were you able to copy?
Yeah, well, just like Bob says, it's a power distribution box. I would not have guessed the brands or anything based on what I copied here. The copy was good, but my eyes are not good enough to detect the words. But Anderson poles on the right-hand side, and very, very few pops on the bottom. Very good copy here. Back to that.
All right, well, thank you for that, Neil, and looks like the transmission made it out okay. Joel, AI6DG, how copy?
Yep, power works on the left with two Anderson plugs on the front that aren't being used, and a rig runner or something very similar. I think it's a rig runner on the right. So you've got basically a flat panel with an Anderson plug in the back of it, and in back and in front of it a auto style bladed fuse for each plug. There's three Andersons plugged in, so I'm assuming one of them is coming from the power works, and then two going out to two devices. There's a big bundle of black and red heavy-duty wire kind of bundled behind and sitting, I don't know, I guess it's just kind of hanging there. So I'm assuming that's extra going to whatever devices. All of this is sitting on top of looks like a wood box. I don't know what's in the box, and I think it's sitting on the floor, maybe in a corner of a room underneath a table or a workbench or something, or a shack, the ham table, ham station. So, yeah, ready for 3 more devices. What are you going to plug in? Come on, go pull out the HRO catalog and figure out what you need. Back to Net AI6TG.
Oh, I love your observations. Thank you. Questions are great. Anders, in NR6H. By the way, thank you, Joel. NR6H?
I'm with Joel there. You need more things to plug in for sure. Definitely an opportunity to get new toys. I'm really interested in the box. It looks kind of custom for the purpose. Is there a lid? Can you open it? Is there something inside? What's there? Yeah, the box, I think, is the focus of this picture. And R6H, back to Net.
All right, the box. Thank you. All right, thank you, Anders. James, KN6QNJ. How copy?
Well, that's a SS30DV switching power supply. That's obvious. I can't read it in the picture, but I'm looking at one on my desk, so I know. And it inspires me to learn how to do the Anderson power pole crimping. I have to get one of those kits and learn how to do that. I don't have much to add. I am curious if the box is just holding the equipment up or if there's something in the box. I don't know if you have a cooling system in there or something like that, but a great picture. It came through really well, very few pops on it. KN6QNJ.
All right, well, thank you for that, James. I'll be talking about the box then. Carol, Kilo Pop 4 Mike Delta. I can see on YouTube that, as far as I can tell, on YouTube, the video stopped from my perspective, and I'm not sure why. Could be that I've done something wrong, but how are you doing with YouTube? And I see that Alf has joined us. Good evening, Alf, KN6DRD. N6EMF.
Okay, yeah, N6EMF for the group. This is KP4MG. Yeah, I'm not sure. The video seems to be going over here. I don't know why it wouldn't be streaming. But Alpha's in there and says, I'm curious to put some faces to these voices I've learned to recognize. So I guess he wants us to, maybe we'll have one of our nets where we'll just put our lovely profile pictures up there to send. Yeah, the top quarter of the picture I got on you here was a little fuzzy, and I think I was having some multipath fading because the signal, I could see on the signal, the S meter was dropping low and it was getting a little fuzzy. But then it came back up again, and the rest of the picture came in nice and clear. So that's a problem on my side with receiving. The PowerWorks looks like the 30 amp switcher power supply. I've got one of those that I bring when I go portable operating at my vacation QTH, and I use it to power the KX3 with the KXPA 100, and that looks like a rig runner, perhaps. I don't need a rig runner with mine because the KXPA 100 plugs into the PowerWorks, and then I could power the KX3 and the PX3 directly from the power poles on the back of the KXPA 100. But nice. I do have the MFJ version of the DC distribution box here at home, and I've got almost all 12 positions filled up with different powering different parts of the station here. So back to you, N6EMF. This is KP from MD.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Carol. I got that's great stuff. Yeah. So let me tell the story about my shack. Basically, most of my ham shack, except for my my Vibraplex straight key and my PC, are all my radio equipment is basically on a TV table. It measures, I think Anders has seen it, it measures about, I don't know, 20 inches wide and about 18 inches deep. And the legs are scissor legs, so you can fold it up and carry it with you. But at the bottom of the scissor legs is kind of a horizontal member at the very footing of the legs. And basically what this box is, you folks have pointed out, is really not a box. It's a C-shaped shelf that I kind of makeshift shelf that I created over the weekend, and I painted it with beige paint, spray paint. It's just a C-shaped shelf that hooks over the horizontal member of the scissor legs and the back end of the table, and it provides a place to set down my power supply and my rig runner. Yes, this is a rig runner. It's a rig runner that I picked up from HRO when they first opened up last summer, and it is 40 amps total capacity, and it has, I think, 5 different power slots on it. And then the PowerWorks power supply is rated for 30 amps peak, but 25 amps continuous. And I put all this together this weekend, so this was my weekend ham project. This represents a safe transition from what I had before, which was a 40 amp power supply that I paid $23 for off of Amazon, basically a Chinese no-name power supply. And it was pretty much bare bones. You had to wire up everything. You had to provide your own AC power cord, strip it, terminate it, make all these jumpers up, and it was basically all the wiring was twisted together with those electrician-style wire nut type twisters. And so I got rid of all that and replaced it with something cleaner and safer. Long story short, one of those power ports is reserved. It's not shown in the picture, but it's reserved for my Elecraft KX2, and another one is for a 12-volt powered car stereo that I have in my shack that serves as a kind of entertainment center for me here, because I never had a stereo in here. So I took an old car stereo and adapted it to my ham radio shack, and it's being powered off of here. But you don't see it plugged in here. Any questions or comments?
Question?
You can catch the name or call, but go ahead. Question.
This is James, KN6QNJ. Maybe I missed it. What's inside the box?
Actually, it looks like a box, but it's a C-shaped shelf. There are only 3 sides, a top, a front, and a back. There's no left or right or bottom. It's just a shelf that basically hangs on top of the horizontal member between the scissor legs.
Copy that, thanks. KN6QNJ.
The most difficult box for me to describe, and I apologize for the confusion on that. That angle doesn't show that it's hollow and open in the bottom. Just a shelf. Sometimes a shelf is just a shelf. Well, thanks for the questions, and I'm happy with it, and it fits neatly underneath my TV table shack. How's that? All right, so let's see. NR6H, are you ready to transmit photo?
I am ready, and this will be PD120.
Open. gosh, Anders, this is really intriguing. I was able to copy a very nice photograph of a, looks like a stainless steel enclosure, project enclosure with separate male and female IEC connectors, or like computer cord style connectors, rather. I see an on-off switch, 0 and 1, a B and C connector to the upper right-hand corner. I want to hazard a guess that this is a line neutral switch in the lower right. I don't know why. I can't even estimate the function of this thing, but let's see. Let's see what's there. Maybe it's a sniffer for AC line noise that you would pick up on a remotely attached oscilloscope or some other type of measuring instrument. Those are my guesses, and just having fun with it, and maybe turn it over to Bob, N6PGQ. How copy?
Boy, I can't do much more of a description than you have done. It may be an aluminum box instead of stainless steel. Stainless steel is pretty heavy, and I don't know. Looks like power to the top, but we'll have to see what it is. N6PGQ.
All right. Maybe it's just a really cool box to impress the girls or the guys. How's that? KL7HQR. Were you able to copy?
Scale 7HQR. Yeah, very, very good copy. No problem at all. Very few pops on this. Extremely sharp copy. I will have to call it mystery box for some reason. I think those words come to mind. I can't describe exactly what everybody else has. I have no idea what the purpose is.
I have to admit, Neil, thank you, N6EMF here. I didn't see the mystery box text at the top until you mentioned it. AI6DG, Joel, how copy?
Yeah, it's a nice looking whatever it is. It could be a cast aluminum box on the bottom half. We can't really see enough of it. A nice aluminum or brushed metal top cover. We got two IEC AC connectors coming into it, one male, one female, so you could have one connector coming in from the wall and another connector going out to a device that maybe it's being tested. So maybe you're turning it on and off, which would be the 0-1 device on the side. And yes, N and L certainly implies neutral and line. So maybe you're, and a B and C for something coming in or out. I'm wondering if maybe this is a test box where you're testing noise, either testing what noise is coming out, or injecting a noise onto where you select whether it's line or neutral. So maybe this is a test box for some test setup. And I recognize that tabletop because Anders has shown us other devices on a very similar looking tabletop with the wood tabletop in the background. And Anders, Winterfield Day in this picture, could we get an answer for Anders' question of how do you reply to a QSO, a slow scan TV QSO? So look, during Winterfield Day, we received one, and then we wanted to send a reply so that we could say we had a QSO in slow scan mode. How do you do that? Question for the net. Back to net, AI6DG.
That's a great question, and I'm sorry if I am remiss. Am I remiss for having missed that question? Where was that question presented? I don't have an answer, and maybe Carol would know.
This is KP for MD. Well, you just have to follow the rules for the exchange, which is you have to give your class of station and your section, and just indicate in your log that what the mode was. I think that would be adequate. I don't see any other reason, but maybe I'll give a feedback on this picture myself, and I just want to say that Alf has a guess He thinks that this device is a gonculator. I had no idea what a gonculator is, so I looked it up on Urban Dictionary, and it's the definition is a gadget that serves no particular purpose except demonstrating the geekiness of the owner, which I doubt that very much for Anders, because he's not that kind of person. Anyway, we've had up to 12 people, 12 viewers concurrently on this live stream. So we're kind of popular. Actually, I put a link for it up on the SSTV group on Facebook, and that probably brought some extra viewers there. I'm going to take a real guess as to what this device is. I recognize it's in the upper left-hand corner. It seems to have one of the receptacles that you see in the back of a desktop PC. That's so you can plug a desktop PC power cord into that. And as a standard US type AC receptacle in the lower left-hand corner. And then there's a switch up in the middle that says 1 and 0. BNC connector up in the upper right-hand corner, and another switch that looks like N or L. And I have no idea what this does, but I guess maybe it has something to do with analyzing the signals that are riding along on the AC current going through there. So back to Annette. This is KP4MD.
All right. Well, thank you, Carol, for that. And let's see, where were we? If I missed a question about that earlier, I apologize. Sometimes net control can get distracted and miss out on details. But let's see, I'm trying to pick up where we were. We got a photo from Anders. We were getting down the list. We were at Joel. We jumped down to Carol. Thank you for that. And I think James, KN6QNJ.
Well, thanks. It's obvious to me that the only switch that matters on that box is the middle toggle switch, which is the switch that opens the trap door. All the others are just decoys. No, I don't know what it is, but it sounds like you all have some good guesses, KN6QNJ.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see, I think we went through the entire list, had some fun with this one. Anders, November Romeo 6 Hotel, would you like to tell us all about this this gonculator, or this slow Fourier transformer?
Yeah, it's a gonculator without the wizamajig, but other than that, it was correct. No, actually, you were right there sniffing around what this is for. Power goes in the top left where the inlet is, so that's where you connect AC power. Whatever you're testing is plugged into the regular 110 outlet there. And then you can turn power on and off with the 1 and 0 switch there, which is currently in the off position. And the other switch there, neutral and line, is simply switching between the neutral side or the line side of the two prongs there on the AC line. And between the BNC connector and the 110 side is simply large filters, getting rid of all the 60 hertz signal, all the low frequencies, and trying to start out at about 150, 200 kilohertz, something like that. So anything that is anything that's noise coming from the device that you're plugging in, obviously you don't really care about the AC the AC supply. You're worrying about the device that you're testing. So that would be the load, or the thing that's plugged in the bottom left outlet there. So what this box is basically filtering out any high frequency or relatively high frequency signals that is coming from that device and sending that out the BNC connector. So the BNC connector, typically you would connect a spectrum analyzer, and you would look at the signals coming from that device. And this is simply something that you have to do with anything electronic that has a clock in it. You have to make this test. This box has a nice name. It's called a LISN. That's LISN, which stands for Line Impedance Stabilization Network. And you could buy one of these, and it's probably $5,000. I built it for maybe $20 in an aluminum box like this, and then with air-wound coils inside of it and a bunch of capacitors and to build that filter. But that's what it is, used to monitor that your electronics don't put out nasty frequencies on the main grid. That's what it's for. Short break, and I'll come back. About the SSTV thing that Joel just mentioned. So what happened on field day was that I was listening on HF, and I saw, I heard SSTV signals. I figured, oh, that's fun, and I plugged in the computer and made sure that I could receive whatever they were sending. And they were sending CQ, 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 and their call sign. And I got excited and obviously sent back a picture with a reply, like Carol said, with the exchange with our grid square and our call sign, and sent that back, and then they went silent. So I guess they were so shocked that they got something back that they never sent anything back again. So I don't think we completed the exchange, but it was fun. So that's what happened. N6NA back to net.
Yeah, that slow scan TV over HF exchange would have been really fun if you could have closed it out. That sounds really exciting. And on this box, this has a lot of practical uses for ham as well. So thanks for sharing. Gives me some really good ideas. I mean, you could, I suppose you could wire up some external terminals if you wanted to tap into any other miscellaneous circuits, like, you know, lighting circuits that don't have plugs for LEDs and that kind of stuff. Might be interesting to create some banana plugs for miscellaneous interfaces. That would be a cool addition. But let's see, any other comments or questions for Anders? That was great.
Question?
Go ahead, Joel.
So what kind of a signal is coming out of the BNC? Is it a DC or AC, or is it just the RF, whatever is actually coming out of the device? And how do you know it's coming from the device and not coming from the line side?
So it is whatever the device is emitting, which is typically it's typically HF signals or noise of some form that's coming from the device, and that's going straight out through that BNC plug. So it is high-frequency signals, AC signals, obviously. There is plenty of filtering. That's what this whole thing is about. There's filters inside of the box that make sure that you take out any high-frequency noise that's coming from the line, hence the name, Line Impedance Stabilization Network. It's stabilizing the AC to the point where you don't have to worry that the signals are coming from the AC side, from the supply side, or from the grid side. They're coming from the device under test. So that's what it is. But typically, what you see is a bunch of noise, usually pretty broadband noise that's appearing. Usually the problems are in the lower part, like around 1 megahertz. That's where switchers and things like that are. So those are the signals that typically come out of electronics that you have to suppress and get rid of them. That's why you usually see a big ugly ferrite lumps on DC cables. That's why you put them there. You try to get rid of noise coming from the equipment and not get that out on the AC line. So that's what it is. N6NA back to net.
For the question and the answer is both. Any others? All right, nice work, Anders. I really appreciate this one. James, KN6, QNJ, if you're ready to transmit, go right ahead.
Okay, this will be PD90.
Oh, wow. Two healthy, alert puppies, if I will. And since I'm not, let's see, Bob, N6PGQ, would you like to show whether you got a good copy?
Got a very good copy. Of course, we got the ID right smack dab in the middle, right across the left dog's nose. They look really happy. Someone's out in the park or out in the country and snapped a picture of the pooches looking right at us. Good quality, few pixel pops, and it came through really quickly. N6PGQ.
All right, very good, Bob. KL7HQR, Neil, how copy?
Yeah, KL7HQR, very good copy, no problem at all. I don't know much about animals at all, but this looks like Alaskan Huskies that I used to see on the rod races down there, or something similar. They could be just real suitable subs for them. But very, very good copy on a picture, good quality transmission. Back to that.
Yes, I got good quality as well here in Net Control. Thank you, Neil. Except an array of pixel pops scattered evenly throughout, but not too bad at all. Very nice photo. Joel, AI6DG.
Beautiful reception, beautiful dogs, amazing. But two questions. What do you do with all the dog hair when it comes to shed season? How do you keep it up with it? And with that much hair in Sacramento, how do they keep cool? Are they always panting? Or do they somehow... I mean, aren't they... They're designed for cold weather. They're a lot colder than Sacramento. I would think they'd have trouble keeping cool at some times of the year here. Back to Net AI6DG.
All right, very good. There's a couple questions there. Carol, KP4MD, I can see you did pretty good on copy on YouTube. What would you say?
Yeah, this is KP for MD. I would agree. These look like those Alaskan dogs that Neil has probably seen when he was up in KL7 land. Good picture. A few pickled pops here and there. Looks like the repeater ID running straight through the middle of the picture from left to right. But beautiful colors and nice scenery. Back to Net. KP for Mike Delta.
Indeed, very nice. Thank you for those comments, Carol. That was KP4MD, November 6 Echo Mike Foxtrot for ID. And I think we went through the list, and we'll go back up to James, KN6QNJ.
Comment.
Oh, go ahead.
This is Dave, WB6YLK. I'm watching this on YouTube, and I think that's a gorgeous picture. I don't even see the repeater ID line across somebody else's talked about, but that's a beautiful picture. Much better than the mystery box or the power supply and whatnot that were on just before this, but that's a beautiful picture. This is Dave, WB6YLK.
I appreciate you checking in and making that comment. It's very nice to say. That's Dave, WB6YLK from beautiful downtown Wilton, California. So I recognize you, Dave. Good evening. And let's turn it over to James, KN6QNJ. I think that was your photo, right?
Right, thanks, KN6QNJ. Well, I think I was the last to go tonight, so I figured I'd end it on something non-technical. These are my daughter's Huskies. The one on the right is the older dog by about 6 or 7 months. That's Nala. And they are 100% Husky. And the one on the left, and looking to the left, is Mika. She's the little half-sister. And they live up in the Folsom area, and this is a picture my daughter took of the dogs out near Folsom Lake several months ago. And they are very happy and very high energy, and they shed all the time, regardless of season. In fact, we had our house cleaned today, and of course today was the day my daughter brought them over, and I'll be vacuuming tomorrow. KN6QNJ.
All right, well, wonderful story on that. They're very beautiful and happy-looking dogs, you know, very nice. So kudos to your daughter for taking good care of these dogs. And I think you said Mika and Nara maybe.
Mika and Nala, November Alpha Lima Alpha. And what would be great is hopefully I could get her to bring them out to a field day sometime. They're very fun and they love everybody. They have no instinct other than to say hello.
All right, Anders, you better hide your food. Especially don't bring any dog food if you want to keep it. Just kidding. So, any follow-up comments, questions for James? All right, James, we do have one more photo. We have one more, Carol, KP4MD. If you would like to transmit, go ahead. I know this isn't going to sound right, but this is a no strings attached straight key with the DNA of a violin. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But lovely photo, and I do see quite a few pixel pops, but I'm envious because of what I see on YouTube is such a perfect photograph. How was Carol, KP4MD, able to get such perfect copy? Turning it over to Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, I'm jealous. Somebody has made a base for their panels out of a piece of wood that's shaped like a violin, has the F holes on the front. That's really kind of cool. I like that. Quite a few pixel pops in the background. Has the brass adjusting contacts and it looks like two levers at the top. Anyway, that's really cool. I like that. N6 PGQ.
All right, thank you, Bob. I think that's a paddle, not a straight key. So you got me. You got me. I stand corrected on that one. Very good. KL78QR. Neil, hope you enjoyed this one.
Yes, it certainly did. A good copy here. A lot of pops on the pink side of the picture, but good copy here. And I cannot add anything else to what Bob says. It's an interesting, very interesting device. Let me take a break in here and just say that due to the time, probably we're going to be closing very quickly. I will be absent for the next 2 weeks. Tomorrow I will be aboard a little ship that goes out of San Francisco to Hawaii and back for 15 days. So the next 2 Wednesdays, I will attempt to join the net via Echolink for the 2 meter, and I will also be try to monitoring the net from aboard ship if the internet allows. So I won't be able to transmit, but I'll be glad to try to join you guys. So good copy on the picture today, and looking forward to seeing what we see in the next 2 weeks. Back to that.
All right, Neil. Yeah, we heard that you would be going on vacation again, and wish you safe travels out to Hawaii and back. And I hope I'll remember to give you a shout out on the 2 meters for safe travels, and we'll be thinking about you. Looking forward to hearing all about your trip when you get back. Thanks for the update, and any other comments on Neil? All right, well, you have the cast blessing. You may travel. Okay, Neil. AI6DG. Joel, were you able to copy?
Pretty good reception. Although do need to make the comment. There's an awful lot of pops on it, though. But Carol does have an amazingly good-looking reception. But I think she's got anti-noise processing on that gets rid of a lot of the pops, even though she receives them. So the image on the YouTube's deceiving in some cases. For instance, the repeater ID that's on the very bottom, you can't even tell on hers. Anyway, this is a very cute and interesting key. I'm trying to decide if it's a single key, a single paddle, or a double paddle. And is there like a band going down the center that we can't see because we're looking down at the top? There's no wires that I can see, so how does the signal get out of it? Anyway, it looks, yeah, I wonder how many of these you could sell at a ham swap. Well, I don't know, maybe not that many, because there may not be that many hams that are that heavy into music to be that interested, but maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I think it's cute. I like it. Back to net, AI6DG.
Oh, this is pretty interesting. This is good stuff. Thanks, Joel. It brought to mind a lot of possibilities to how to transmit CW from a violin. Some random thought that crossed my mind as you were talking about it. Anders, November Romeo 68 Hotel. Were you able to copy?
I did copy. Like others, I had a significant amount of pixel pops, and I did kind of make an experiment while this was coming in, because I saw that the background was very, well, except for the glare kind of in the middle, but it had a solid color throughout the picture. So I started playing with the volume going into the computer and just drastically increased and decreased it. And funny enough, that had absolutely no effect unless I pulled it all the way down to zero. Then I lost it, obviously. But very nice key for sure. Very neat. Curious about the cables. Is it Bluetooth? That would be weird. A key that's Bluetooth. Or maybe they're going out underneath or something. That would be special. But yeah, very neat key. And for Neil, bon voyage, and hope that you collect awesome pictures for us for when you come back. N6H, back to Net.
All right, very good, Anders. Thank you. Well, James, KN6Q&J, how copy?
Thanks, Wilson. I have a lot of the pixelation as well, but I think this is a really cool device, and I'm wondering what it's like to actually operate it if it can be plugged in. But I think it's really cool. KN6QNJ.
All right, that was James. Thank you very much. KP4MD. Carol, it was you that shared this wonderful, fun, multi-faceted photo with us. Would you like to tell us the backstory?
Yeah, sure. This is KP4MD, and I specifically intended this picture with Bob in mind, being the net violinist here. If you go on the YouTube page in the chat, I did put a link in the box there that'll show you some more information about this project. This was, I'll just read the caption on this. This is my side swiper or cootie, Morse code key. A side swiper is not really a paddle. It is. You can move it from side to side. It doesn't go up and down like a regular straight key. But the left or the right side are equal. They don't signal separately. They either one is just a make or break, as if it were a straight key. So you send a little bit differently with this, but it's still essentially a straight key. There's no difference between doing it to the right or the left. The wiper arm is made of a hacksaw blade, and I made the brass pieces on my mini mill. I hogged at the bottom so I could pour it with lead to give it weight. It weighs just over 1.4 pounds. The wood is African paddock, I guess. The engraving on the wood and the arm were done with my laser engraver. I don't play the violin, but had a fellow ham ask me if I could make one that looked like one, so I had to give it a try. And that's Kelly Kloss who wrote that, K7 Sierra Uniform. And he actually has a, if you go to his website, k7su.com, I believe, he's quite a woodworker, does all kinds of custom telegraph keys, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So back to Net, this is KP4MD.
I was able to take a visit to that website you referenced, and it really is a beautiful key. It looks like something very, it's a high degree of novelty there, something fun to have for on display as a conversation piece. It probably actually work pretty well as a key if you can get used to using it. So any other comments or questions?
Question.
Go ahead, Joel.
So thanks for the link. That there's a great photo on that page that makes it very clear that yes, we're looking straight down at the I guess it's a hacksaw blade. That's the spring. So you're saying left and right both do the same thing? It's not left or right. One direction is dit and the other direction is DAWs?
Yes, that is very correct. There's the left and the right are they go to the same center conductor. You see, it's a two conductor plug. If you look at that little mini plug that's on the end, so you just go alternate left to right, and I guess the point is that you're not doing the up and down type of motion of your wrist that would give you the carpal tunnel. So you're just going left to right. So if you want, you could do dashes or dots on either side, but you're manually controlling the length of each element of the character. Over.
Thanks for that. I have not seen that type of key before. That's interesting. I would have expected dits on one side and DAWs on the other. But yeah, I do see in the picture on the the website that it's a mono plug, so there's only one contact. So I guess that both of the two sides are involve the same contact. Thanks for that. Back to net, N6TG.
All right, great question, Joel. Any other comments? I think this is really a fun one. So thank you, Carol, for presenting this to the cast. That was KP4MD with a, let's see, it's called a Morse code a side swiper key. Thank you. Well, also wanted to express we hope that Carol's dad gets well. I heard from Carol in a previous net tonight that Charlie, her dad, has been readmitted to the hospital this time with what I believe is, if I remember accurately, he's had a stroke. So we'll be keeping your dad in our thoughts and prayers, and hopefully he comes through, huh?
I thank you very much for those kind wishes. He is one good thing is that he is alert, he's awake, he's conversant. Although I cannot go and see him because he's in the ICU, they don't accept visitors there. But the doctors there have been keeping me up to date every day, and chances are he may be discharged within 3 to 4 days. But he has a persistent deficit, a neurologic deficit. He's got weakness on his right side, and he'll be going probably to a rehab center for a while. So that's unfortunate, but those things happen. Those things happen. So back to net. This is KP for MD.
Gil 7H2R.
Go ahead, Neil.
Carol, I just want to let you know that regardless wherever I am, our thoughts and prayers will be with him and with you. And I hope that this is a temporary situation and he'll be back with you and with us very quickly. KL 7H5.
All right, well, thank you for that, everybody. And again, I guess we had a great show tonight, and I want to have everybody spin off in the best possible spirits for the evening. Wish everybody a restful sleep, peaceful sleep. And I want to express appreciation to everybody who was able to view us on YouTube tonight, and for everyone that participated in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. This net is officially closed at 10:42 p.m. Pacific Time. This is Wilson, November 6th, Echo Mike Foxtrot, wishing all of you a good evening.